Hi, and welcome to Salesforce Live. And we've got a great webcast here for you today. It's all about building next-generation apps with the Salesforce1 Platform. My name is Jim Sinai. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Salesforce1 Platform, and we're really excited to come to you live from San Francisco. And I'm joined here in the studio with my colleague, Dylan Steele. Dylan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Jim. Yeah, thanks for joining us here. My name is Dylan Steele. I'm a member of the platform product marketing team here at Salesforce, working on the Salesforce1 platform. And I'm really excited to be here with you and our other guests to talk a little bit about how you can build apps and how you can build mobile applications with Salesforce1.
And we're really also excited to be joined live via Skype from Boston with one of our favorite customers, Ken Grady, who is the CIO of New England Biolabs. Ken, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me today. As you mentioned, Ken Grady. I'm the Chief Information Officer and the Head of IT for New England Biolabs, one of the oldest and founding companies in the biotech space and industry. We've been a Salesforce customer for not quite 2 years now and have had the opportunity to work with you guys and our team here to develop some really interesting and exciting applications, both for our use, but also that are customer facing, that we're very pleased with.
Great. And maybe since not everyone's familiar with New England Biolabs, can you give us just a quick synopsis of what you guys do as a company?
Sure. If you're outside of the biotech or the life sciences space, you may not have heard of New England Biolabs, but, and I have to simplify it because I work with a lot of leading scientists in this field, and for them to explain it to me, we're a company that produces reagents that biotech and pharma companies and academic institutions use to cut DNA up and put it back together again. They're studying the genes, the reactions, the diseases, and the next generation therapies and diagnostics that are really at the cutting edge of where the life sciences revolution is headed. And it's an exciting time to be in this industry and an exciting time for us to be working with our customers. Great.
Thanks so much. So now we're just going to get right into it. You know, we're at a transformational time in our industry. And at Dreamforce, we introduced the new Salesforce1 mobile app and the new Salesforce1 Platform, which powers not just the mobile app, but all the apps that our customers built. And we also introduced this concept called the Internet of Customers. And Dylan, I was hoping you could help explain to everyone sort of what that concept's about and what's going on that's so revolutionary in our industry.
Sure, Jim. So I think you and I have both seen, and I'm sure Ken has seen as well, as we work together with companies on the leading edge of our industries, what we found is there really has been a shift. It's a transformational shift that's happened in the last few years, which is a shift, as we call it, moving from an Internet of Things, an Internet of Records, an Internet of Data, to an Internet of Customers. And what this means is not only building the systems that you need to house all the data that's being produced, to house all the processes that are being produced, but that you actually make it more accessible, more manageable, more personal for each individual person, because behind every application, behind every process is a person, a customer, or an employee. And it's amazing what you can do when you pair that person with the right technology. What we found is it's actually application technology that allows you to do that. Think of what you can do with the mobile phone these days. Yeah. I mean, here from the studio, what can we do? We can order a pizza, we could order a taxi, we could buy plane tickets, we could do all of our business processes, we could manage customer stories and customer information.
The storyline that really grabs me is that, you know, prior to the Internet of Customers, a car company doesn't know who drives their car. But now that they've built an app that lets you see your own car, if you drive a Ford, you have an app on your phone that lets you have all the information about your car on your phone. Ford now gets to know who that customer is, and they've changed their drivers from consumers to customers. And I'm just blown away by example after example, and we're going to hear about how New England Biolabs is sort of transforming the internet themselves into the Internet of Customers in a minute. But you know, there's an obvious sort of demand that this new frontier places on companies, and especially on the people in IT. And you know, like in the work that you've been doing, what is that demand, and what's the, you know, how do we see that stacking up against the IT departments at our customers?
Well, Jim, what we see from our customers is it's easy to conceptualize these apps that need to be built, right? Behind every customer, we want an application to connect them to their processes and to their products. It's easy to think about how that connection could be made. It's not so easy to deliver those applications, right? And there's a number of reasons for that. And you know what? Let's go ahead and show the graphic on screen. Let's go to our first slide where we can show a little bit about why companies struggle a bit to deliver the next generation of applications. What we see here is actually information from a Gartner report that shows the current IT capacity. That's what IT can deliver today, compared to business ideas, ideas for apps, ideas to connect customers and employees to technology. And what we've noticed is there's a growing app gap. The gap is actually to the tune of $1 trillion. And these are ideas that aren't getting delivered. These are apps that aren't getting delivered.
This is every time that we come to IT and say, hey, I've got this great idea.
Yeah.
And they say, next year. Or sometimes they just outright say no.
Yeah. And that application gap is not only for laptop and for desktop. In fact, it's even more stark for mobile. So what we can also see is what we call the app gap. So if we go to the next slide, I think what we'll show you is that when we went out and surveyed customers, what we saw is that most of them said that mobile apps were critical to their business. Mobile apps were critical to their business processes. But deploying those mobile apps was extremely hard. In fact, half of the mobile apps that they wanted to deploy, they haven't been able to get out. So we call this the app gap. This is the gap between the apps that they need and the apps that they've actually been able to deliver. And we see that here with Salesforce. Ken, tell us a little bit. I know you've been working in the IT industry for a while, and can you tell us a little bit about how you see the demands of IT from New England Biolabs and for others in your industry?
Well, what you described as a problem is something, I mean, it's familiar for any of us working in the IT industry, especially over the last 5 to 6 years, as the consumerization of IT have changed the expectations of our partners and colleagues across other functions coming in and saying, hey, I can download this terrific thing from the iTunes store. Why can't you deliver something like that in the enterprise? And we've got a very complex legacy architecture in most organizations, and New England Biolabs was certainly no exception of that, that we really had to rethink and think about what are those capabilities we need to have to grow our business in the next 2 to 5 years and beyond, and how do we want to position ourselves for that? And that's where moving to cloud-based solutions, moving to adaptable infrastructures and solutions that really were designed with that in mind has made all the difference for us, or is beginning to make all the difference. I think we've still got a lot to do, but I'm really excited now. For the first time, I'm not as frustrated in those conversations where I feel, trust me, I want to be able to deliver those great ideas, Jim, that you have. And I hate having to say get in the line. And now I actually feel like we can turn it around and pivot much faster to meet the needs of our business, of the scientists that are using our products, and of developing the next new great idea.
So is it fair to say that you're not alone in seeing this transformation within the CIO's office and the VP of App Dev's office, where there's an opportunity to transform yourselves into heroes of your company as opposed to just being the guys that are keeping the lights on?
Yeah, I love your example of Ford and the way cars are headed now, because it's not okay anymore to keep your customers at arm's length. You've got to be engaged with them at every step of the way, and that's really where these apps and where these tools are coming in. We went out and mapped every single touch point that we had with our customers, and we thought about how do we want to take that from a transactional relationship to an engagement relationship, where we're continuing the conversation, we're getting more information about how they're using our products, we're anticipating when they need to use our products next, and positioning ourselves so that we're the supplier of choice. And that's what I think really successful companies are going to continue to do over the next few years.
Awesome, thank you. So, I think we've framed up the problem and sort of the market pretty well, but Dylan, Salesforce has a great offering to really help IT leaders sort of attack this problem and transform themselves, which is the Salesforce1 Platform. And the Salesforce1 Platform is, our robust platform. It's one of the leading platform as a cloud platform as a service. It's used by 100,000 plus customers, 4 million apps. Can you give us an overview of sort of what it is about this platform that's transforming our customers' IT departments? It's actually helping them deliver these apps?
Yeah, that's a great great point, Jim. And yes, so let me tell you a little bit about the Salesforce1 platform, and then I'd love to have Ken chime in as well and talk about his experience with the platform. We've delivered what we like to call a next generation platform on Salesforce1 with Salesforce1 Platform. And what does that mean? Well, a next generation platform allows you to engage with your customers, employees, your partners, even your products in kind of new ways. Those new ways include social interaction, they include mobile interaction. All of these are built into the Salesforce1 platform, and all of these are built on a multi-tenant infrastructure. What that means is you get the best of Salesforce's products, you get the best of our platform shared across all of our customers, which means that no matter the size of your company, no matter the size of your product, you have dependable uptime, you have automatic upgrades, you can be sure it scales to an unlimited number of employees and customers, and you can know that you not only have the right platform for building apps today, but that as we push upgrades to all of our customers, you'll have the right applications for tomorrow. So let's show a little bit about kind of what is included in the Salesforce1 platform. Let's go to our slide, and I think we can point out, so this is our Salesforce1 platform architecture. And we talk about the platform as a whole, we're really talking about a suite of different tools in your tool belt that you can use to build applications. On the bottom layer, we see our Force.com tool, Heroku One, and ExactTarget Fuel platforms. But on top of all of those, we've built a very rich set of APIs that allow other applications, other companies, and our customers to build amazing apps that can pull information straight from Salesforce, push information in. We've really opened up the box of applications to make them easier to use. On top of that, we've actually built an application ourselves, the Salesforce1 app. You can go to our App Store and download it today, right now.
You mean the Apple App Store?
So the Apple App Store or the Android Google Play Store.
Yeah.
So you can download it from either of those places. And with that app, you actually get all the goodness of our Salesforce backend, our data model, the multi-tenant infrastructure, and a ready-built UI. So you don't have to go out and build a user interface yourself. The front end is there. It's ready for you. You download it today, and you're ready to go.
When I talk to our customers about the Salesforce1 mobile app, the thing that I hear them say the most is, this is awesome because I don't have mobile developers, right? I have people that can build applications. I have people that understand Salesforce platform, but I don't have mobile developers. And what we've done is delivered the way to bring their desktop ideas mobile without having mobile developers. And I think that's incredibly powerful. But what I also love when we looked at that architecture is that if you do have a vision to build something that's completely bespoke to your business, that has your branding and that you want to write it in your language, you can do that with write in any language. You can put it in Heroku and you can connect it to Salesforce, and you can get all these systems working together. And really, you're doing it the way that developers like to do it, which is with APIs. And that's the future of development. So.
Yeah, I think it's great to point out, and we actually can show this if we have. I think we have a slide of 2 different ways to build applications with the Salesforce platform. There's 2 clear ways you can build apps, and the first way is actually using our Salesforce1 application. You can surface your own custom application. So on the left-hand side, you see what our Salesforce1 application actually looks like. You build your own applications, and they're ready instantly, not only for your desktop, but for your mobile as well. So get all of our back-end services, but get our front end as well, our beautiful UI. We worked hard and we're very proud of the Salesforce1 application. Now, if you want something custom, if you want something that has your own branding, is customer facing, or is built to your own specifications, you can also build a custom user interface app, just as you explained.
Yeah.
One that still has all the goodness of Salesforce's backend, multi-tenant, security, our data model, surfaced in a different way. So you really have your choice.
So I want to go to Ken. Ken, you've worked with the Salesforce1 platform now for about 2 years, and you've used all components of it. And I'd love to get your impression of not just the services, but really how they've what about them has struck you as different and unique and beneficial to New England Biolabs.
Well, we the first year or so when we were really getting into the Sales and Service Cloud, one of the big gaps we were looking at and talking to Salesforce about was on the mobile side. And we said, there are pieces of it there, but it didn't all come together in a way that we could use as well. It didn't match our processes as well as we wanted. And we had a lot of work to do on our process as well. last fall when I had a chance to preview Salesforce1, and there was a whole lot of safe harbor mentioned up front because it was pre-Dreamforce. But I saw it, and immediately I recognized in it, this was what we were looking for. This was the adaptable UI and the adaptable process that we were looking for. And immediately, we went ahead and implemented a sample management process in Salesforce1 for our field agents, or for our field reps. And for anywhere in the life sciences, many companies across industries have some kind of sample process. And we just weren't consistent enough about tracking who we handed out samples, were we doing the follow-up, were we getting that business, were we winning the business in the end. And we had that up and running in an afternoon in Salesforce1. With a very customized look and feel. We put a little double helix on it because we're in the life sciences industry and we were talking about polymerase samples, things that were very unique to our business, but we were up and running in a single afternoon for sample tracking in Salesforce1 and put it out into the hands of our field reps the next week. And it was a terrific example of how quickly we were able to adapt it because we didn't have to worry about the language and the development framework. It was there for us, and we were really excited to see that.
That's awesome. So I think what I want to do now, we've talked about the Salesforce1 mobile app, and we've talked about building custom apps on the Salesforce1 platform. And what I want to do is sort of spend the next segment of our time looking at both of those. And so, Dylan, what I thought is maybe you could start us with a demo of how to customize the Salesforce1 mobile app, and then we'll go and see what Ken Grady and New England Biolabs did and really blowing out that vision and really going into the internet of customers and building their own custom stuff.
Yeah, sure, let's do it. I think we should go in and let's jump right into our desktop first, because the exciting part about Salesforce1 is how easy it is to move from a desktop app to a mobile application. So if you're new to Salesforce, you're getting a look inside of Salesforce in what we call our social feed, Chatter. And if you are a Salesforce customer, you'll know up here in the right-hand corner, this is what we call our app picker. And here you can choose from all of our award-winning sales, service, and marketing apps, as well as custom applications that you've built yourself or apps you've installed from the App Exchange. So right now we're inside of a recruiting app. So I think recruiting is a process that every business has to go through. Sometimes it can be painful, sometimes it's hired out. But what we've done is we've built out an application specific for recruiting and recruiting management. So I'm going to just walk through what Salesforce looks like on the desktop and the mobile device. Up here we see what we call tabs. And all of these are data tables that help hold important information. Here, rather than inside of our Sales Cloud FSA automation where you might see accounts, you might see deals, you might see opportunities, we've actually custom tailored it to recruiting. So instead you see positions, candidates, job applications, and interviews, and we can dive deeper into each one of these and see the information that sits behind it. Here's candidates for specific job opportunities and positions.
So this is just a visual representation of the data object, of the database.
That's exactly right. Visual representation behind each of these is important and useful data. And the exciting thing is not only that we can build this application on the desktop, but that we can take everything on the desktop and move it into the Salesforce1 application on your mobile device very easily. So let's switch over to the mobile phone and see how this looks on our mobile device. So here you are, you're seeing the mobile phone. I'm going to open the Salesforce1 application, and as it loads, what we're actually going to see is all the same information, that social feed, here on our device. And when I open the left-hand navigation, those same tabs, as we call them, those visual representations of positions, candidates, and job applications, are all available right here from my mobile phone.
Now, to be clear, you didn't actually have to move it to mobile. It just automatically is there.
That's exactly right. You enable mobile inside of your Salesforce organization. That's literally as easy as checking a checkbox. And all these tabs you've created are now instantly available on a mobile device. Even better, on the mobile device, we can actually not only view information that we've inputted, let's say inputted from our phone, but we can also go in and create actions, we can take actions, and we can change information in our phone. Let's go back to the phone, and I'll just show you really briefly what that means. So here from our social feed, we can take basic actions from the phone, like make a post a file, post a photo from our mobile device. But if we actually go in, let's look at the job candidates who are available. Here's Jenny Ailes. She's a candidate who's applied to one of our roles inside of the business. She's based out of San Jose. And what I can actually do is, with our contextually aware mobile app, I can take action that's related specifically to this candidate. I can schedule an interview, I can make her an offer. If she's not the right fit, I can reject her, or I can add a post where we can collaborate. So All of these actions can be customized not only to a certain process, but to your own personal business with clicks, without code, without development, with clicks.
So if you wanted to change that, if you wanted to change something on the phone, how would you change it?
Yeah, so I think let's pause there, because what I'd love to do is show you how we do that for Ken. We actually have a demo for Ken and Ken Grady in New England Biolabs.
So that's a great segue then, because Ken, why don't before we bring you into the conversation to hear sort of what you've done to blow out the Salesforce1 platform, you were nice enough to have us to Boston, and you let us put together a little video on your story. So what I thought we'd do is we'd roll this video, and then we could come back and talk about how you've customized the Salesforce1 platform for your business in the biotech world.
Sounds good.
Science is a very stressful endeavor because you have to fail a lot before you actually are successful. So anything that allows you to go through as much work as possible in the shortest period of time is going to help you get to that successful experiment a lot faster.
New England Biolabs, they produces enzymes that cut and modify DNA and started to make those commercially available to the scientific community.
We developed a model several years ago where we were putting freezers of our products out at our customers' sites. Those freezers, that inventory was never interactive with us. We didn't know what they were using until they called to refill it. So last year we went to Dreamforce and listened to how others were using the Salesforce platform, thinking about ways to connect in not only their people, but also their product. And we came back in and started thinking, what would our freezers tell us? If we could connect it into our Salesforce environment, how would that help us become more responsive to our customers? It's almost like an ATM for enzymes.
They would go to the freezer, look to see where the product is. They would authenticate themselves, pull the product out, scan the product, lock the door, confirm that they've received it, and head back to the lab. That simple workflow process could save them days.
The combined platforms of Heroku and Force.com, we just had to connect it to the freezer itself. In less than 30 days, we had it up and running.
What's exciting to us about Salesforce as a platform is how quickly we've been able to move from a legacy and siloed environment of a number of different applications that didn't talk to each other. Something that's unified and helps us see our customers in the same way that they see us.
We can look for trends across our customers who are using products together, perhaps that we haven't noticed before, and that may allow us to bundle those products together or perhaps modify those products that will service the customer in a different way.
By connecting to Salesforce, you're extending your business process directly to the connected customer.
The scientists we sell our products to are really working on the building blocks for understanding how disease works, for understanding how life evolves.
We're helping that researcher get to that eureka moment eventually faster, then we're very happy.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you for letting us come and visit you in Boston. Of course, it was a beautiful fall day in Boston. So Dylan, you said you had a demo that kind of highlighted some of what they did. Why don't we take a look at the demo, and then we could transition into discussion about really what we saw between the video and the demo.
Yeah, certainly. I'm happy to do that. So Ken's been nice enough to allow us to rebuild some of what he's created at NEB so that we can protect the information of his actual connected freezers and his customers. So let's go ahead and move to the laptop, and we'll show you what Ken's world looks like inside of Salesforce. So here, you'll see something that looks much the same, customized to New England Biolab, their Salesforce instance. But up here in the right-hand corner, we see from the app picker, Ken actually has his own customized app called the Freezer Program. And inside the Freezer Program, he has a set of custom tabs that allow him to look at the status of his freezers, of scientists who are his customers, orders, products, and even marketing campaigns, all happening right here in the feed. So I think what we'll do first is actually look at one of the freezers for New England Biolabs and the kind of information that it's going to plug into Salesforce. So I'm going to select this freezer called the Keynote freezer, one that we've used before in some of our presentations. And we can see right away a little bit of information about this freezer. So it's sitting in New York right now. I think it's still out there where we gave our presentation at one of our events here at Salesforce. And we can see information about the freezer status. Is it locked or is it unlocked? How is the temperature? Is the temperature remaining consistent? We can also see the inventory and what's available at any given time. All these different images represent different inventory inside of the freezer. We can see orders made by the freezer, and even better, we can see who's logging in to the freezer. There's actually an application running on the front of that freezer. You have to actually authenticate before you can open it up. So here's a doctor who's gone in and actually accessed that freezer. His name is Dr. Jamie Ayers. And if we click on Dr. Ayers, we can see right here his activity history with New England Biolabs. So we know more about him than ever before. We can see when he accessed the freezer, what products he took out, what orders have been completed, what inventory is tagged to his name, and we can even create a campaign that allows us to push information to Dr. Ayers right from Salesforce. So let's move to the mobile device and see how this looks inside of Salesforce1. So NEB's chosen to turn on the Salesforce1 mobile app, which allows us to actually access all that very same information here on an iPhone or an Android device. So I've opened up the iPhone, and what you can actually see on that left-hand nav is the same information. We see scientists, freezers, campaigns, orders. We can check on the status of all this information and the real-time status of these freezers on the go. I'm going to pull up that exact same information on Dr. Jamie Ayers. And here we see it. We see Dr. Ayers. We might be able to take action. Maybe we see he's used a freezer recently and a DNA polymerase, and we think that we have a better one. So if Ken's team is always developing new enzymes, new polymerases to manipulate, change, and edit DNA. So what we can do is actually, as you come up with new products, we can push one out to Dr. Ayers. So what we can actually do is automate that task inside of Salesforce. So right now inside of Dr. Ayers' profile, when I use what we call the action button, that little plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner, we see the actions that we're able to take. So we can create a post, or we can log a call if we've recently had a call with the doctor. But what we actually want to do is send him a sample of New England Biolab DNA polymerase. So it's easy to go ahead and make that change. Let's come back to the desktop. Thanks. And we'll see in the feed here right now those same two options. Create a post or log a call. What we're actually going to do is go under the hood with Salesforce. We're going to go under the hood into force.com, which allows us to make changes to this layout. I'm going to edit the layout. We've created an action that is a send sample action. It's a workflow that actually sends a sample of DNA polymerase direct to the doctor's freezer so he can get it next time he arrives at the freezer. So all I'm doing is dragging that send sample from the actions menu down into what we call publisher actions.
So no code.
No code at all. I've created that button actually with clicks and not with code at all. And now I return here to Dr. Ayers' profile, and I see that send sample button has appeared in the feed. So I can click that, and I can actually send him a sample right here from the feed very easily. But even better, if we move back to the mobile phone, I can open that action button, and what you'll see is that same send sample action appears. And here I can decide to send a sample direct to the doctor from my mobile phone. Maybe I'm out there on a sales call. Maybe I've seen that he's recently accessed the freezer. This is a great example for NEB, and it's something that can be recreated by our customers in any industry or for any business process.
Wait, can you go back one screen on the mobile device for a second? This blows my mind. You just customized a mobile app in under a minute without using any code.
That's exactly right. So we created that send sample record, and we have it connected to other information inside Salesforce. We did that all with clicks, and with a simple drag and drop, we actually added that action button not only to the desktop, but also to the mobile device.
Okay, so now Ken, what Dylan just showed us was a demo, but actually, tell us about it. I mean, was that real? Did you guys push that out in your phone, and what was that experience like in creating that customization?
Well, first of all, I want to say good job to Dylan, because I've been coaching him on some of the scientific terms, and you nailed it, buddy. That was great.
Thanks.
He's a liberal arts major. We have to work with it.
That was awesome. No, really and truly it was. In fact, the first action that we published to the mobile phone, I did it. I did the publication of that to the mobile phone. Let me tell you, the developers don't let me anywhere near anything technical anymore. So for the fact that I was able to go in and actually create, a new sales task action, or something like that for our sales team, just to demo the power of this was really impressive. For us overall, I mean, for us, you talk about behind the Internet of Customers and behind every transaction as a customer. we've always felt that behind every one of our products is a scientist working on something, hopefully illuminating and finding that eureka moment. And what we found when we started exploring what we could do with Salesforce is that for us, we could draw, these are things that consumer goods companies or retail companies are doing or have in their process. And for us to be able to draw upon that capability in Salesforce and leverage that in life sciences in a new market in new ways really has made us much more flexible and much more responsive to our customer base, to the scientists that we work with. We're a small, mid-sized life sciences company. We're not a large company with a huge shop of developers. So it was really important for us to find the tools that we needed to be able to respond so quickly. And it really was that easy. It really was. So the freezer app that you saw there.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a second, because the freezer app is something that we saw in the video. That's not using the Salesforce1 mobile app. That's a custom application. What was it built on, and what devices did you deploy it on? And when you thought about like the whole model, soup to nuts, what were some of the things that you were looking for in evaluating how to put that application together?
So that whole model is, in many ways, a traditional consignment inventory management problem. And like you were describing with the cars earlier, we didn't necessarily know who was taking the product off the shelf and be able to really target the conversation with them. So that was the problem we were trying to solve, as well as creating some greater efficiency and flexibility there. When we started looking at it, we knew that we had all of our customer information, obviously, in Salesforce. We also had all of our product information in Salesforce. And we had these freezers out in the field. And the true story, we were at Dreamforce, and we were watching that GE demo, and I went back to my hotel room, and I was looking at the minibar, and I was looking at it saying, if that thing could only talk to Salesforce, it would tell you that I drank a lot of Diet Coke in this last week. What could we do if we took that same approach with our freezers? And we looked at a couple different platforms, and we actually ended up using Heroku to develop the front end of that. And Heroku has the native libraries to be able to access the Salesforce information that we already had compiled around our customers, our pricing, around our products. But it didn't force my development team to learn a new language. It was flexible. It's Unix in the cloud. We could develop on Ruby, which we already knew, that application with a very slick user interface. And we did a couple of quick cycles, quick iterations. The first iteration, he said we were up and running in 30 days. We had it out at customers within 100 days.
Wow.
We took 90 days to get feedback, and we iterated again.
So basically, you've put together a full, not just a prototype, but a full working customer-facing product, really in the span of half a year, but you had it in the market in 90 to 100 days, and with feedback, you sort of had what you would call your V1 out of beta in two calendar cycles, 2 quarters. That's amazing.
Well, to be clear, they were buying things out of it within 100 days.
Wow.
So really, we knew that we wanted to continue to improve it, but we set up an experiment with some of our friendly customers that we then could build upon with these iterative cycles. And now we're already working on version 3.
You know the other thing that really strikes me in this story is, and this is part of the Internet of Customers revolution, is it's driven by a device revolution, which is, a few years ago, if you wanted to execute on that vision of we're going to build a connected fridge, you would have to go out and find some device manufacturer that's going to create you a custom touch screen that's embedded in a fridge. But in the Internet of Customers, you don't have to do that. You can take advantage of this hardware revolution that's going on around. So what exactly is the device that you've put on the front of your fridge?
I've got a bunch of makers on my team that really have that maker spirit, and it was built with all off-the-shelf components. We looked at different tablets, we looked at different temperature sensors, we looked at different USB controls, and in the end, the tablet is, actually the one in the video is a Windows tablet. We have it running on iPads, we have it running on Android as well, because we wanted to make this flexible for any market. For the US market, we have large freezers. For the European market, we have small under-the-bench freezers that are very different in size and shape. And so we had to, it was a design criteria, it had to be flexible enough to use locally sourced components that we could assemble basically on the spot. The freezers are commercial. We're not a freezer company. These are commercially available freezers that you can buy through Sears that we then scanned and assembled into a working unit. What that did for us is it really kept the cost per unit down, substantially lower than some of the competitive offerings out there, which has given us a lot more flexibility about where we can put them, what size of customers we can engage with them, and how we move forward with it.
And I think this is a theme that we see with all of our customers when they're looking at building devices for their employees, whether it's in operations. We've got a large food delivery company as a customer, and they basically gave all their drivers an app built on the Salesforce1 platform, and they just use off-the-shelf hardware. And what this enables companies to do is to get out of being a hardware company and to just focus on their operations, just focus on their business, and be an app company on top of that, and leverage apps instead of building huge integrated systems.
That's exactly right, Jim. And what you'll see is that the ability to build apps is not only restricted to the realm of developers anymore, right? Yeah. Business users who understand the processes of their business, they can build apps just as easily as developers build apps using the Salesforce platform. The best part is they get all of the components of the platform out of the box, security, the multi-tenancy, the infrastructure, but they're able to go through with clicks, set out the data model that they want, set out the process, that they want, map it out, create a workflow, turn it into a mobile application, push it into Salesforce, move it to S1. It's an extremely easy process.
Awesome. So we're going to take some questions from our live audience on Twitter in a moment, but I want to throw one question to you first, Dylan, which is, for people that are like saying, wow, that's awesome, what are some of the steps and things they need to think about in how they're going to transform their company and how they're going to start thinking about using Salesforce1 Platform to build an app? Like, what are some things they should think about, and where are some places they should go for resources to dip their toes in the water?
Mm-hmm. I always say, before you go and start thinking about what technology am I going to use, do I need a custom app, or do I need a custom UI, an SDK, what language should I build on? It's really important to step back and think about the process that you're working with, and think about the requirements of that process. Can it be done on a laptop? Does it need to be mobile? Does it need to have things like offline access, or can it have simple features like only when you're online you're able to access the application?
So this is about being think like a product manager, write a user story.
That's exactly right. Think about the story, think about the process, begin there, and then you can come to the technology and start to see, does the technology map to the process? And when you talk about a deliveries app, if a deliveries app is all about understanding the accounts, the inventory, a certain set of information, and you know that, it makes it much easier to choose which technology you want to use, which one you want to choose to actually build your application. So once you've gone through and actually mapped out the processes and understand that, we have a ton of great resources that then can help guide you down the path of building an application. So I'd highly recommend getting inspired with some of our ideas by visiting salesforce.com/platform, where we have an app gallery. Mm-hmm. And if you're a developer and you want to see what's possible and see some documentation of how to build maybe a custom app on Salesforce, you can visit developer.force.com. It's an amazing developer community with tons of not only examples, but documentation and code snippets, in fact, starter packs that allow you to get up and running quickly.
And what I always tell people is, whether you're a developer or whether you're an admin, it doesn't matter whether you know code or not. Developer.salesforce.com is a great resource, because at developer.salesforce.com you can sign up for a free sandbox org, or a free trial org, a free developer org, whatever kind of org you want. You can get a free sample. There's great workbooks that have step-by-step instructions, and as you go through these instructions, you can basically just remove their, the written idea and put your idea in there. So there's a bunch of great resources to get started. So
That's exactly right. And if you're, one more thing, which is if you're an existing customer, the best place to start with mobile apps is to visit that app store and go ahead and download our Salesforce1 mobile app. See how many of your processes and how much of your information is already available on mobile devices.
Well, all the data will be there for sure. All right, so there's a few questions out here. We got one from Janine. Janine, this one's actually for you, Ken, which is this is really cool stuff. So what are you guys thinking about for next year? How do you take sort of this innovation that you've already delivered and not sit on your heels, not rest on your laurels, and really continue to be the superhero at New England Biolabs for the next year?
Sure, and we're definitely thinking about what's next. How do we top this? And there's a couple of areas that we see potential. One is, what if we take the iPad or the tablet off the freezer and we create a virtual program where it really is an app that you download on your phone or your tablet? A lot of the academic institutions that we do business with have our product along with a bunch of other competitor products in a central freezer, and we want to be able to have a checkout experience separated from the need to have a large physical footprint at that site. Secondly, we're looking at what about a Mayday button? We saw the great example on Kindle. It's been talked about by Mark Benioff. And we thought, yeah, of course, why wouldn't you have a button that you could have a one-click interaction with us and follow up, making sure that either the order gets handled correctly. We already have included things like if you don't see the product in the freezer right there, click here to special order it, and it'll be at your doorstep the next day. That's already there. We want to follow up with a service integration as well, because we see a lot of potential there for, again, that customer intimacy and that customer support.
That's awesome. My mind is just churning about how you would create your own Mayday, and there's so many great just consumer apps out there that you could just tie in. It's awesome. I actually heard a story last night about how a cosmetics company is using Google Hangouts to teach their consumers how to do makeup, and I thought that is just a genius way to engage with customers. So another question. And Dylan, this may be for you. If you don't know it, I probably have some answers. Salesforce1 mobile app. It's new, but obviously Salesforce doesn't just print software and stop. What are some of the things that customers should get excited about? Of course, under Safe Harbor, about where we're thinking about taking the mobile app and making it easier for users.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great features that are still coming down the pipe on Salesforce1. So just like our regular Salesforce with continued releases and continued updates, our mobile app, our mobile UI is going to continue to get those updates. I mean, we have an exciting roadmap under Safe Harbor to see in the future. You could look for more access from offline when you go outside of a service area, potentially being able to view data that's stored locally on your device. The ability to customize Salesforce1's look and feel, to make it your own. So
it's not just blue, it doesn't say Salesforce on it, you can make it your own.
That's exactly right. So you can make it your own companies. NEB could have their own version of Salesforce1.
Awesome.
So look for things like that. We're continuing to iterate not only from the back-end perspective, but also from the UI perspective. We have a great team of user experience and user interface experts who continue to rev on that mobile application.
And hopefully also continue to bring all that innovation back to our desktop application as well. I think the one thing I kind of geek out at on some of this technology, and when I sit and talk with our product people, the thing that gets me the most excited is really that we're taking so much of the technology that we put into building that Salesforce1 mobile app. We're actually going to open source a lot of those templates and make it easier for people that want to build their own custom app to take all that, those APIs and build their own custom apps and not have to start from scratch with a blank design slate. So just giving people things like the mobile SDK and design templates, and all those things are going to help our customers build their own mobile apps for their customers or for their operations in a much faster and more nimble way.
Yeah.
All right, so I think let's see if there's any other questions. Anything else you want to add? I don't see any other questions here on our stream.
I think
before we wrap up, what are your final thoughts about what we talked about here today?
I think this was great, and I'm excited Ken joined us. I think the exciting thing is when you look under the hood of Salesforce1 and Salesforce1 Platform, you see a set of really rich APIs, and what you'll see is actually we're just getting started, right? Salesforce1 application that lives on your phone is really, that's app one, right? That's one of many to come. We've already launched a Salesforce1 admin application. We have Salesforce Pound for security, and there's many more revolutions to come, not only from Salesforce, but from our customers as well. So with these APIs now exposed, we've been able to not only create one great app, but I'm sure to be able to create many, many templates like you explained, and many great customer apps. So it's exciting to be just at the tip of this new revolution.
Awesome. And you know what I'm excited about is not about our technology, but I'm excited about our customers and what they're going to be able to do with this. And you know, it just sort of, it makes me tingle when you think about all the different customers that are out there thinking about how can they have a revolution inside of their own company, right? How do they make their company feel like the next cool consumer company? So I think we've got a lot more information coming at you this year on Salesforce Live. And I just want to, before we wrap up, give a big thanks to Ken. Ken, thanks so much for joining us live from Boston.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
And thank you to my colleague, Dylan. And I want to thank everyone online. Thanks for joining us on this webcast and on Salesforce Live. And we look forward to seeing you here soon on Salesforce Live in the near future.